Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to WOR World Online Racing. Apologies for that, just had a little bit of a break in our transmission, but we are back live here, and we are at the Paul Ricard circuit. The cars are out on the track. Andy's back with me alongside me in the commentary box. We missed a week last week, but we are back here with a vengeance here for tonight's French Grand Prix. Paul Ricard, Andy. A very, very interesting one. Lots of straights, plenty of straight line speeds, lots of negotiating to do in the corners.
Yeah, and plenty of runoff as well. So much runoff area for the drivers to exploit. I'm going to be honest, it's not my favourite track in Formula One calendar, but, you know, I'm looking forward to the race nonetheless. We've got some cracking drivers in this field. We saw a great race last time we had action back in the Netherlands at Zandvoort, and that's not a track you usually see great action. So, yeah, tonight, plenty more overtaking opportunities, especially down that Mistral straight. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, George. And let's see if we start to see a pattern develop now in this World Championship. Are we going to see certain drivers rise towards the front, and then we can start to figure out who the real challengers are for the championship?
Well, we certainly could find that out. I mean, I have to say, it's been a very fascinating encounter. Of course, Shazoo Midnight currently leading the fray at this moment in time, which is amazing to see. Certainly lots of excellent quality drivers here at WR. Shazoo Midnight's already stamping his authority with 29 points in the driver's standings. As well, not forgetting VRT Bellina as well, not far behind. After a real dampening first race or so, he's managed to come back here with a vengeance, and he is striking here upon this field. We got lots of competitivity there. VRT fielding Luke and Bellina, both of them in the higher ends of this championship. But still early days, though, at the end of the day, Andy. Lots of things can change.
Yeah, early days, and as I was saying there, like, nobody's had 2 clean races so far from the guys up the front. I mean, the fact that one driver's on 29 points kind of sums that up. I mean, that's a race win for Midnight and 4 points in the other race, and, you know, Bellina 25 points. I mean, it just shows you, like, how little points these drivers have managed to amass between the 2 races. So we'll start to see if there's going to be a run of form developing now, and whether someone can go in that run or a run of podiums. But, you know, it's been a up and down start for the guys at the front of the standings. So yeah, it's going to start getting quite interesting. So Me To You, he's 4th in the standings, 22 points. Eltink is on 18 points in 5th position. So, you know, we've got such a tight field at the minute. Ash Best is next. Then we've got Corny, Pat, Kuzi, and Cohen. It's Cohen at the bottom in 10th. So yeah, 20 points covering the top 10 in the standings at this early stage. And well, obviously it's early, but no one has made a storming start so far. As we enter what is the 5th round officially, but of course the 3rd round of racing actually.
Absolutely. Now we can see there Ash Best, of course, currently on our screens, currently in the view, coming down towards the senior right-hander, and that's the Corbe senior, heading down towards the Droid du Basset, that's turn 11. And very soon now, well, he's well within Sector 3. Of course, the Alfa Romeo team currently enjoying top spot in the team standings. 40 points to their name, only 2 points ahead of the Mercedes team. It's going to be really fascinating to see how these 2 great juggernauts, certainly here in the world of Formula 1, of course, Mercedes being the more optimal juggernaut, given the fact that they've got Shazoo Midnight currently on top of the driver's standings, but still, it's enough. And we're going to be witnessing plenty of battling out on this circuit here in France. Certainly with the long straights, and certainly the straight line speed will garner plenty of overtakes heading into sections such as the Mistral chicane. But on the outset, heading into Signier, what's the likelihood that we're going to see some overtakes into turn 11 heading into sector 3 there, Andy? Because you've got that right-hander at turn 10 that takes you off that long straight, or the second part of that long straight. But then the key moment is afterwards, the one after that, turn 11. Lots of them like to send it down the inside.
Yeah, I think we will see some overtaking through there. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I think certainly the first part of the straight prior to that's where a lot of overtaking gets done, perhaps a little bit too easily. I'm not a fan of the breeze by DRS moves, but certainly in that second part, if you get overtaken, there's an opportunity for you to come charging back, and it really does present some exciting racing through that high-speed right-hander, and then that long, almost turn 8-esque at Turkey right-hander. So yeah, it should provide plenty of racing and excitement in that part of the track. And yeah, I'm sure some of the drivers will be feeling brave and will go for a move there. So yeah, absolutely. Certainly a track we will see good overtaking as we see Ash Best come up to that area of the circuit now. And yeah, there's plenty of room for overtaking. And as I said at the top of the show, plenty of room if you make a mistake as well. So yeah, I think the drivers will certainly be getting their elbows out and going for some moves out there. Well,
I really hope we do see just that. Ash Best now crawling his way around Sector 3, currently looking to try and upset the top end. His teammate Bellina currently in P2. So a great opportunity here for Ash Best to contribute a delting blow here upon Mercedes. Of course, Shazoo Midnight currently owning top spot as now Ash Best comes up across the line. What's it going to be for the Alpha? It's a no, well, certainly any time listed, it is P2, and goes ahead of his teammate Bellina there, up into the front row of the grid. An excellent way to start here, and certainly the Alfa Romeo team will be delighted with that early opping, of course. We're into the latter stages now of 10 minutes as Caden Forbes separates him in the Alpha Tauri. And how about that for an upset? Caden Forbes back with a vengeance in league racing after having some rig issues in the past, and he's certainly come back here fighting. Second row of the grid at the moment, Andy.
Yeah, it's a good start, good showing to open his account for the session, up into 3rd position. Then we're halfway through the session, and Caden Forbes moving up into 3rd position there. So it's looking very, very tight at the top of the order at the minute. So yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this session pans out as we now pick up one of the Renaults going for a hot lap. Is it a Renault? I'm struggling. Is it? No, it's a Williams out there on a hot lap. I couldn't quite see on the screen, but now we've got Shazoo Simon out there going through turn 9 and charging down this long straight towards that tight chicane. And this is where I said we will see a lot of breeze by manoeuvres, I would think, due to the DRS. And you know, it is a track where if you're fighting for the lead, quite often you see drivers try and just sit behind the other, charge the battery up during the race, and then go for that late race kill to try and seal the victory. So, you know, we might see some tactics, George. We spoke about seeing some overtaking in the later stages of the race and all over the track. We might just see a tactical game. It might be one of those slow burners and one where the viewers have just got to sit on the edge of their seat and wait right until the end before we see that race-winning move, because that's something I've seen so often around this circuit in league racing.
No, absolutely. And I have to say, we've always seen or bear witness to upsets in the past, or certainly twists in the tails. And I've got to say, I reckon that the viewers will be very likely to see some of this. Now, Simon makes his way into the pit lane. Obviously not happy. A little bit of a run-off there in Sector 3, as we're now witnessing back now Dino, who's making his way around the track once again. The Williams. Obviously looking to try and notch himself higher up the top 10 order. He's now making his way around the final corner, this time at turn 15. Here comes the Williams now past the paddock. What can he do? Any improvement as he comes up across the line? And it's going to be a P8. He improves by 2 and actually slots himself behind Name Changer, his teammate, of course. And I have to say, Name Changer, a formidable force on his day as well. Very competitive and currently in P7, of course. And he'd be glad to have his teammate there, Dino, joining him in the top 10. As we look further down as well, Ace is out on track, of course. That's the NWS driver in the McLaren, now making his way around the initial sector, of course. Now, I've got to say, it looks like at this moment in time, Andy, in terms of the standings, Alfa Romeo and Mercedes currently hedging their bets at the top end. Looking at it on track right now, Shazoo Midnight, Mercedes man, up on top billing, the only man in the 26s, but watch out for those Alphas. They could tip the scale in their favour.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking like they're the stronger teams at the minute, isn't it, in the standings? I mean, that's one thing that looks quite clear at this early stage. I mean, a couple of races, but now we're starting to see it in qualifying in the third race that we've had. So, yeah, it's looking like Mercedes and Alfa Romeo, the two strongest out there at the minute. It's nice to see Caden Forbes, of course, as we touched on earlier, is getting in there and causing a ruckus, shall we say, up in third position, splitting those two Alfa Romeos. But yeah, 6.5 minutes to go. Everyone going for the soft tyre thus far, so we'll wait and see what the strategy is in the race. But as we keep an eye on Ace at the minute, coming towards the end of the lap, or into that final sector of the lap, and he's currently in 13th position, and I don't think he's going particularly quickly. He's bailed out of this latest run. But yeah, let's have a little chat then about this Paul Ricard circuit. 15 turns and 1 DRS zone on it, and George, it's quite a challenging circuit on the road. Obviously, you know, it doesn't punish you for the mistakes too much if you go wide, but you know, that first sector as we watch right now, it really does come at you quickly. And that first corner, it's really blind, especially when it's sunny. Thankfully, it's not too sunny for the drivers today. You approach that left-hander and you really cannot see the apex whatsoever, especially in the sunny conditions. It's a real challenge.
It is indeed. I mean, if you think about it, the way the drivers are sat in the cars, of course, they're quite low down. There's not a lot of view over the cockpit, of course. Yeah. And obviously then you've got the halo in the way. Not to mention turn 1, there's a little bit of a crest, so you can't quite see over that hill. So the apex pretty much comes at you out of nowhere. And if you get it wrong, you could just hit it far too late. And it leaves you open to actually cut in the chicane. It's a good job there's no wall there, otherwise it would have been extremely hazardous. Plenty of runoff, as you quite rightly said at the start of the broadcast. And I think you do need it, especially going into turn 1. But I have to say, that is where I think we're likely to see the invalidations come into play. And certainly I think time penalties are going to be crucial around that point.
Yeah, I totally agree. It is a track that does bring time penalties into a factor in the race, because, you know, all tracks where you've got high apex, two corners following each other quickly. You know, I look at the likes of Canada, Australia, and you get that here as well, particularly in the first sector, as you say, George. Turn 1 and 2, the corners come at you quickly. They're quite tricky, and yeah, it's very easy to, you know, cut the inside or run a little bit wide on the exit if you get it wrong. So yeah, it's going to be challenging from that sense, and I think the drivers just need to keep their nose clean in the race and ensure that they don't do that, because, you know, the last thing we like as viewers and commentators is to see a race, decided by time penalty. So hopefully that will not be the case, as we see the Ferrari man, Jory, jump into 13th place with a 1 minute 27.8. And, you know, he's not that far off the front, but he finds himself down in 13th place, and that just shows you how competitive things are out there. Yeah,
you've got to say, look at the delta time. Literally a second separates Midnight and Jury. So if you look at the top 10 now as well, it's all under a second, all approximately 9/10 maximum separating the top 10. That is absolutely unbelievable. And if you have a look at the top 3, there's literally a minimal of, well, approximately 3 to 4 tenths of a second. That is how close these drivers are. And I have to say, pace-wise, it is absolutely unbelievable, folks. We would like to personally thank all of you as well in the live chat for joining us here, of course, for WOR, certainly the PS4 tier. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring this action to you. Of course, still a very exciting championship ahead. We've got just under 4 minutes left remaining in qualifying. Rudy's out on track as well in the Haas car, now making his way. He's currently in P10 and enjoying himself, that's for sure. He's well within a chance of nestling him, it was certainly himself, up into the top 10. Certainly if we were discussing certainly three-tier system, or should I say a Q3 or certainly a standard qualifying system, that is enough to get you into Q3, of course, if you looked at it on Q3 pace. So well done to Rudy on that basis as he makes his way down the stretch, down the Mistral Straight, and very soon he'll enter the chicane. And this is a very key point, Andy, because this is where I'd anticipate we'll see a lot of the overtakes being made.
Yeah, it is, no doubt about it. The problem is, though, I think a lot of them will be done just before that braking zone with the strength of the DRS. But yeah, you really do need to attack that chicane. It is quite high speed. That first apex is so much quicker than you first think it's going to be, and you can really throw it in, and it can catapult you into the second part of it. So yeah, it's a chicane that can be taken with a bit of speed, and of course a little bit of an attack, and that's exactly what Rudy is doing out there at the moment. And well, that's an interesting route, shall we say, across the runoff area as he gets himself back to the pits. He's obviously trying to get back quickly in time to get another lap in, so hopefully he can get back and get another lap in time. And yeah, he's going to dive into the pits, and that will be a quick turnaround. And you tell you what, he's got some real work for his mechanics to get that car turned around. So we'll shuffle down the field to Borrell in the Racing Point, who is attacking that first sector then. And coming into this tricky double right-hander. It's so tight, that first one. And, you just got to feather the throttle, wait, and then go full throttle on the power, open up that DRS through turn 7, and then pile down this back straight where, of course, as we keep saying, is where the overtaking is most likely to be done. And I think, is he slowing down on this lap, Boro? I can't quite see. I think he has bailed out, and he's currently running in 14th place at the minute. So 1.5 minutes roughly to go in the session, and it's still midnight on top, George.
It certainly is, but just look at the top 10. They're all coming out of the pit lane, and as they say that, the 15th, 16th, and 18th, and 19th. VRT Luke, who's yet to set a time, so's Venoms. Cohen, of course, cannot set a lap in qualifying. He's obviously out of the session, but looking further down, Luke in the Red Bull, yet to field a lap time. We're going to be seeing plenty of action here towards the end of this, folks. I want to see your predictions as we come towards the final minute of qualifying here in Standardized. Very soon we'll be into injury time as the Red Bull now makes its way down the stretch now. And just look at him there, VRT Luke, certainly looking to spring yet more action upon us here in WOR. Currently 24 points. All that separates him at midnight, the championship leader, is 5 points. So certainly there's going to be plenty to look forward to heading into the race, because look at it on paper. Midnight P1, 29 points. Bellina on 25 points P2. And you've got Luke there, 24 points in P3. But don't forget Metiu as well, down there in 22 points in P4. So it's still a very close grid. So plenty of question marks heading into this one, Andy. And you get to think that this is a key race. It only takes one incident to typify the scale, certainly in terms of a championship.
Yeah, especially when it's this tight, isn't it? I mean, it could easily tip things one way or the other, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the race pans out as we get ready for some fireworks at the end of this qualifying session. So close up till now. Will there be any last hurrahs from anyone? And there is Midnight out there, the championship leader, the man currently on provisional pole, pushing around this Paul Ricard circuit, looking to extend his advantage as he makes his way down the Mistral Straight and into that first heavy braking zone. Again, you can carry a little bit of speed through that first part, using all the curb he can on the entrance to the second part, and now fires his way down towards that high-speed right-hander of turn 10, and really well hurting the G-forces on the neck, of course, not in the virtual world, but in real life it would. And now he makes his way into turn 11. Reminds me of turn 8 at Turkey. You can really just throw the car in. Reminds me of that long sweeping right-hander at India as well. Very, very similar to that. And now into this tight, twisty section. Turn 12, really long left-hander. Difficult to try and judge the correct line through there. And then through the non-existent turn 13, and then 14, and an extremely tight turn 15. So let's see if Midnight can go any quicker than he has so far. We've got Name Changer climbing up into third position with Caden Forbes in fourth, but here comes Midnight for the line. Is he going to go any quicker and extend his advantage out front? Let's have a look. It's a 1 minute 26. 0.7, and he sure does. So that is the target for Bellina to aim for, George.
It certainly is. Now look at this. Bellina now, P2. He comes around the final corner, making his way past the DRS line, punches it as he passes the paddock. Can he typify the balance as Venom goes into P2? It's not enough. It's only going to be a 27.008, and that certainly will not help him. And he gets pipped by the Ferrari engine of Venom's, not forgetting. So it was a battle of the two Ferrari engines, but the standard Ferrari goes on top. Jesus Simon moves up into P7. His teammate Mathieu, who is currently P4 in the championship, can he upset the balance here? Crosses the line, and what's it going to be for that man? He remains in P15, and that is your decider, folks. That is your grid order. Shazoo Midnight, the current championship leader, remains on P1 on the grid. In behind as well, Venom's out of nowhere into P2 in the Ferrari. Bellina into P3. Name changer up there as well. Impressive visit from Caden Forbes up there as well. But what a phenomenal qualifying session. Lots of drama. And Andy, that is what this is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Well done to Shazoo Midnight, showing exactly why he is the championship leader at the moment, putting the car on pole position by almost 0.3 of a second. Quite a margin in a field so tight. So it's Midnight on top with Venom's in second. What a performance from the Ferrari man. Bellina lines up in third for the Alfa Romeo. Name changer starts from fourth for Williams with Caden Forbes fifth, 0.4 off the pace. Then it's very close. Ash Best right behind him. Simon half a second off the pace in seventh. Young Power is in eighth. Then we've got Legend in 9th and Yuri in 10th. And then Pat starts from P11 in the Haas, the first car with free tyre choice. Dino is next. Then it's Rudy Luke in 14th place. That's a horrible qualifying session for him. Borrell is 16th. Dan is 17th. And Ace completes the grid in 19th place. So yeah, what a session that was. And wow, we've got Midnight, the man top of the standings, looking to go and extend that gap further. And Bellina will be left wondering how he's behind and not on the front row.
No, absolutely, Andy. And what a way to end, obviously. It's always great when the cars leave it so late because you get all of them coming round. It's almost like it's literally, it's a gunslinger, the final couple of minutes. It's literally who's bravest heading into some of the corners, of course. Lots of them high speeds. You head into the Mistral Straight, into the Mistral Chicane, and it's all a test of bravery. How late can you be on the brakes? How soon can you chop it through the corners? I have to say, amazing. And I have to say, it's a testament to the standards that we have here at WOR on the PS4. And I have to say, it's really amazing to see. I want to say a big thank you, of course, to all you viewers at home. I want to see your pundits' predictions. I want to see who you think is going to take victory here today in France. Who do you think is going to land the blow, take all the points home with them here today, and potentially steal the lead of the championship? Because that's what's on the table right now. Midnight may be on pole, but that reflection could well be changed, certainly as we make our way through the race, Andy.
Yeah, it sure could. I mean, as we said, it's so tight between the drivers, so it's going to be very, very interesting. Here come the lights.
Certainly do. They're just making their way around the track now on the formation lap. Yeah, it gets us every time, Andy.
It gets me every time. It sure does. But yeah, I mean, there you go. So yeah, as you say, George, Shazoo Midnight, it can change very, very quickly. We've seen that in Netherlands, how it can change so quickly. I mean, I think, what was it? Bellina was leading by a distance and then got pegged back. Is that what it was? I'm trying to remember back. It was a couple of weeks ago, and then the pit stops came and it all changed around. So yeah, it could change again. It's all about just getting that pit stop right at the right time, the right moment, getting well off the grid as well for Midnight. And with Venom's in between, I think you'll be happy to see Bellina in third position because of course Venom's is not appearing in the top 10 of the standings at the minute. I mean, I've not seen Venom in the last race. I mean, he's either someone that's moved up or a reserve. I'm not too sure, George. Are you?
Well, I have to say, if he is, I don't recognise him personally, but I have to say, if he has moved up, what a way to come in. For starters, P2 off the get-go, and I have to say, he's in very good company. Bellina and Midnight, of course, leading the champion. Well, certainly lead the front runners in the championship, at least for now, and currently top in the billing. So credit to Venoms on a great performance here at Paul Ricard as they now wind their way through turn 10. Just want to say, obviously, we've got some comments in the live chat. Carla Lundy's going for a Jory win. We got Luke Humphreys going for Midnight. Looking further down as well, we've got Carter Lundy stating that Midnight will win. Jory in P2 with Caden in P3. Caden Forbes getting a little bit of a plug there, so that's good to see. Certainly back with a vengeance. I have to say, he looks in reasonable form. Just getting word here, funny enough, off Luke Humphreys. Venom, a new recruit to WOR. So this is his first race, so he's joined midweek. So a very interesting addition to the league. We'll have to keep our beady eyes on him, Andy.
Yeah, we sure will, because that's a very impressive start, putting it on the front row. We should also mention, by the way, everyone outside the top 10 not fancying those soft compound tires. We've got Pat on the hards, Dino on the mediums, Rudy hards, Luke hards, Meteor hards, and the bottom, what we got there, we've got Borrell, Dan, and Ace on mediums, and Cohen on hards. So quite a mixture of tyres then at the start of this race. Even those outside the top 10 who had different choice to pick from, not all going for the same tyre. So it could be an interesting race, George.
Yeah, 3 separate strategies as they now line up on to the grid, folks. Very soon we'll be getting ready to go, as you can all see them in tandem lined up outside the paddock. Here we go, folks. It's pedal to the metal time. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. Shazoo Midnight gets away okay, but just look at this. It is Venom. He got away from with a great start here on his first visit here in France. Goes around the outside there of what looks to be. And now at this moment in time, Midnight, as they chop their way through sector 1. In comes Bellina. He knows when he's beat. He was trying to tackle the Ferrari in behind as well. You've got Name Changer trying to come into play. Caden Forbes looking to land a blow. Bellina, my word, what a getaway. Finds his way through on the inside as they run the next right-hander. Drama at the back. Here comes Name Changer. Bellina licking his wounds. They go wheel to wheel. Drama at the start, and you just can't fathom it. An incredible overtake there from Name Changer.
Yeah, we've had all kinds of action at the start of this race, but it's a perfect getaway for Midnight. He holds on to that lead, but Name Changer flying off the line, and up in a second as we see Bellina go side by side with Caden Forbes through the chicane, and Caden Forbes keeps his nose in to the battle, but Bellina is in third position, and we've got Caden Forbes right there and hunting him down and going for the move, but Bellina at the minute holds on to that third place. We've got action behind that as well, cars going side by side, but at the minute Midnight has got the perfect getaway with Name Changer up to second and Bellina in third, but Venom's dropping down to fifth place. Oh, that's a disaster for him on his debut.
Yeah, not ideal at all. He looks he looked like a force coming off the line there. He did challenge Midnight, and I don't think Midnight saw him coming as he now ran the next left-hander. And Young Power trying to really land a blow here upon the Ferrari, of course, as they ran the next right-hander now, the final corner, heading round across the paddock, already bailing into the pit lane is Ash Best. Not a great start for the Alfa Romeo. Wheel to wheel now between Venom and Young Power. They're leaving no sleep at the start of this Grand Prix here at France, and certainly no surrender as they wheel their way through the first sector. Still on top now, Venom's rushing wide. There is Young Power and cuts through the circuit. And you've got another Ferrari. Joey makes his way up to P5 as well. Amazing sleight of hand there from the Ferrari driver. A bit of P5 goes ahead of his teammate who drops to P7. Penalties already dished out. Young Power, Venom, and Ace all with penalties.
Well, there you go then, as we said it in qualifying, didn't we? It's so easy to pick up penalties around the circuit, and they're being picked up already then, as we keep an eye on Venom, and he's under attack from Simon in the Renault, and Simon going down the inside, and as we expected, they're so powerful down there, no DRS yet, but the great slipstream, and he should be through into the braking zone. Look at Venom, he's trying to cling on, and he's clinging on brilliantly there, holding on to the inside, but is it all in vain? It looks like it will be on the exit, and Simon is through and up into 7th place, and now Venom is under attack again. The Racing Point now pulling alongside and making the move into turn 10, a place we thought we'd see action, and that was brave as you like, and through he goes ahead of Venom, who's not having the ideal start to this race. 2 laps gone, and he's dropped a handful of positions. He's now down to 9th.
Yeah, not the start he would have wanted. And just look at this. In comes Dino. He wants a piece of the action. The Williams and the Ferrari doing battle. I'm getting visions of Villeneuve and Schumacher as they run the next left-hander. Wheel to wheel once again. Just look at this. Round in the next right-hander. Beating him off goes Dino. Makes his way round and secures the P9. In behind now, Venom once again looking to strike back. I've got to say there must be some suspected damage surely, because he's losing a lot of downforce. And I am quite right. He is. Well, I thought he was. Anyway, I thought he was missing an end plate, but I could not see it. But he has got a full wing intact, so no explanation for the sudden loss of pace as they make their way around sector 1. The Ferrari not finding things easy right now, and I have to say he's going to be left uncomfortable. What a hellacious start for him. Unfortunately, he's down to P10 from P2. Never an ideal start, Andy.
No, it's never an ideal start, and when you had a great getaway from the line, but when you start losing places in the middle sector and you get caught out and you get pushed wide, it's so easy to continue losing them. You need to try and regain that focus immediately, and it's so difficult to do that. You get cars overtaking you left, right and centre. You try and look to make up for that lost ground in certain corners on the track, and you just keep making mistakes, and the rest of the field, they don't care. They are like a hungry pack of wolves, and they will seize any mistake they can. As we now see Cohen attacking a potential mistake from Rudy, who looked to go a little bit wide there. And on the inside into turn 10, is he going to be through it? It looks like he is, and up into 13th place, and Rudy drops to 14th there. So great racing so far here in Paul Ricard. 3 laps in, and we're almost out of breath already, George.
Yeah, I gotta say, what a start. I gotta say, off the line straight away, and here comes Dino defending that position. Running wide slightly was Venom, and certainly these two now going hell for leather now in sector 3 as they come around the next left-hander. Once again, the Williams trying to fend off the approach from Venom, and I have to say it was a great recovery from Dino. He did obviously take advantage of the situation that, of course, Venom lost a lot of traction, went wide, and he'll have another chance, though, past the paddock as they come down towards turn 1, and a very dangerous place to make a move here, certainly with the blind corner, but he chooses not to. If you have a look at his ERS as well, he hasn't used a lot, but what a switchback! What a beautiful switchback there from the Ferrari, and indeed, as he makes his way through, Venom made use of it, just sold the dummy, and went in on the inside. Brilliant, heading into turns 3 and 4, and now into 5. Sensational from that man in the Ferrari, and what a way to start a race. Lap 4 of 27, and you've got enough to fill a whole 27 lap race already there, Andy.
Yeah, I'd like to see Venom's position graph already. It'll be all over the place, won't it? After just 4 laps, but he's making up for lost time and making moves back. As we now look at this, this is incredible. Young Power flying up the inside of Caden Forbes, and Caden Forbes is round into a spin. He goes, and dropping down the order goes the Alpha Tauri. He will rejoin the racetrack, but he's lost a handful of positions and the rest. He drops all the way to 13th place, and that was a disaster. Slight contact, it seems, between he and another car. I think it was Young Power, and now he drops right down the order, and that's a real shame for Caden Forbes, who had such a good start to his weekend. Good in qualifying, decent start in the race, and now he's got it all to do from P13.
Yeah, I've got to say, he's going to be so disappointed going for a spin there on the outset of the Mistral chicane. It looked like he had every chance there, battling away, but just unfortunately just lost it at that key moment. And I have to say, that's what happens when you go wheel to wheel, touching tyres. It can certainly end up in a pile of misery as well. As we look further behind, Venom's once again looking for a gargantuan recovery, and he's right on the tail of Simon, so he's really found his pace once again. He's up to P8 this time, has managed to crawl his way all the way down from P10, and has now got Simon right in his view. And I have to say, it's been incredible. Great drive certainly from the Ferrari so far, considering that he lost all those places very early on. He's really been working hard to try and garner back what he lost, and you've got to give him every chance in the book, because certainly as you know, see them whittling their way around the initial sector, down very shortly down towards the Mistral Straight, and just look in the distance, there's Legend trying to sort of make a move here on Jory. He might get closer here as they come up now towards that said chicane. Is he going to open the door? He has a little nose, has a little look, he says, the Pink Panther, not able to strike, but just look at that, a lock up there allows Simon to get a little closer, and we're just seeing now down the back end, we've got Matthew overtaking Dan as well. AlphaTauri not having the best of days, Andy. They are down in P's 15 and 16.
No, it's a disaster, really, isn't it? Caden Forbes had been flying the flag well for them in the early laps, but that has been extinguished quickly after that little touch, I think, with Young Power. I'm not too sure if it was a touch or he lost it on his own, but it's a big moment, and wow, that was Legend getting a little bit out of shape there as he gets closer to Jury. So let's see if we can see what's going to happen next, but certainly looks like there's quite a battle going on in the midfield. Legend, you know, right in there and holding quite a few cars up as we see the Ferrari of Venoms trying to continue his recovery drive, and that's a lovely move. Down the inside of Simon he goes and up into 7th place. So yeah, Venoms making up for lost time at the start, and that's another place gained, and it's a really good move as now Dino is going to go round the outside then of Simon into turn 1. That would be a really brave move. He's picking up the slipstream from the car in front. Go on, my son, that would be excellent, and he's going to do it, is he? Unbelievably close on the exit of turn 1 and 2, but he can't quite get it done, and Simon holds on for now, but that would have been an early contender for move of the season had he pulled it off, George.
Yeah, it certainly would have been. I have to say, Andy, very brave, and he tries to switch back again. Simon was caught unawares, and I have to say, he's got a real handful on him, on his hands, because here comes Dino now, certainly on, or should I say Dino, currently in his Williams, trying to get closer and closer to Simon. As we look further up, still the midfield conglomerate still very close together. Once again, Legend having a look on the outside, or on the inside of Jory as they come through the Mistral chicane, taking a lot of the curb there, did Dino, and it gave him a great opportunity here, because now he can certainly try and serve up a move on Simon, heading down towards turn 10 on the outset of the Mistral Straight. Once again, action aplenty here in this French Grand Prix, coming down towards turn 11 as you can now witness them heading off in tandem. A move here from Legend after Jory opens the door. The Pink Panther looks to strike, but no, the Ferrari, ever resilient, attempt once again holds off Legend, and you have to wonder, he must be getting frustrated there, Andy.
Yeah, he must be. It's really beginning to hold these guys up. There's quite a gap up to the guys in front here, and Legend is desperate to get that move done. He's maybe going to try a move there. We've seen Venoms do that on the previous lap, but it won't happen this time round as Legend gets that tight entry to that corner he needs, and that will give him a really good exit. Gets to the throttle a lot earlier than Jury, and now he's got the DRS open, and he's thinking, will he go left? Will he go right? It looks like he's just going to sit there and bide his time and perhaps wait for the opportunity in the next DRS zone, and all the while that's allowing Venoms to get ever closer, and we know just how quick he is. And now Legend finds himself right in the middle of a Ferrari sandwich, so this is going to get very interesting as they make their way through that chicane and now down towards that back straight, and surely Legend is saving up that ERS, saving up the battery, ready to pounce on Jury down this straight. So 7 laps gone here, and it's quite the battle in the midfield from 5th downwards all the way outside the points. One mistake and you lose all your points, and Caden Forbes has already found that out as Legend gets ever closer. Down the inside he goes on Jury. Is he going to make the move into the braking zone? Of course he is, and through goes the Racing Point up into 5th place before the Ferrari of Venom could get anywhere near him. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, we had a double as well, Andy, because Dino made his way through as well, through on Simon, and now Pat's going to have a look this time on the Renault himself, heading into turn 10. Beautiful, I have to say, majestic, and he gets it done. Pat is an absolute force at this moment in time, has made a huge gargantuan rise on the hard tyres, if anything, and I have to say that will serve him well heading into the last stage of this race. We're only in lap 7 and 27. The soft still should be quite useful at this moment, but he's picking them off right now, and that is a statement, overtaking Shazoo Simon when he has the faster tyre on. A huge statement as they all dart off into the pit lane. Already we're seeing the top 7 all burst in there. Bellina up there, name change at Midnight, not forgetting Venom's now making his way now past the paddock, past the pit lane. He's now got, well, we've now got a battle here on with Dino and Venoms, but 2 of them heading into turn 1, and Dino flashes past on the medium tyres. Absolutely brilliant stuff, and I have to say, an absolute staunch rise here from Dino. I must say, he's won a few fans in the live chat, and quite rightly so. It's been a tremendous performance from the Williams.
Yeah, he's going for it, isn't he? He's getting the elbows out. He almost pulled that incredible move off around the outside. He's now got a little bit wide there, but he should be okay. He will get the better exit out of the corner. So Dino now leads this race on the medium tyre. But hats off to Pat as well. We cannot forget that. He's on the hard compound and running up in 3rd. Make that 2nd. He's about to pull alongside here on Venom, and he's surely going to get that move done into the braking zone. They've both got DRS though. It will be a run into the braking zone, and it's a run which sees the Haas take 2nd place. And boy, they'll look like rock stars after that one. Up into 2nd goes Pat. Next up is Dino, as we now see Borrell pull alongside Venom, who's losing tyre, losing grip rapidly out there, and surely that Ferrari will be in at the end of this lap as Borrell now thinks about a move on Pat. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, I got to say, we had a 4-car moment there heading into turn 10. I got to say, unthinkable scenes here in the WOR French Grand Prix here on the PlayStation 4. I got to say, does not look like Formula 1 right now. It looks more like go-karts, or certainly karting. I have to say, the amount of moves we've seen has been extraordinary. Lots of them very brave, very keen to throw it up the inside, but certainly that's what you get with France, obviously, because the track is so wide. It leaves so much opportunity for overtakes to be made. Utilising the flat surface of this circuit is absolutely notorious for straight line speed, as now Cohen makes his way through on the pink Mercedes. Indeed, Cohen making his way through into P3. Sensational. Borrell down to P4, and now the Pink Panther will look to maybe strike now into the chicane. Is it going to be a case he can tag back? Not this time. Cohen with the pace there heading into that section, but brilliant stuff indeed, as we're now witnessing Midnight has come out back onto track, but crucially Bellina is ahead of him.
Oh wow, so Bellina has pulled off the undercut, or has he pulled it off in the pits then? It must have been in the pits. So Bellina working some magic there and has moved in front of Midnight, and that is for the net lead of this race. So Midnight is going to have to get his work cut out if he wants to get himself back into race winning position. Name changer is right there as well, but Midnight will be gutted. The Mercedes team have let him down in the pits. It's all went well for Alfa Romeo, and we have now a net change of leadership here with Bellina, the net leader, but currently 8th on the road. But they've got quite a gap to the guys in front, so don't expect the guys that haven't pitted to have a factor in this battle before they make their pit stop. So Bellina, at the minute, has the upper hand on Midnight, but Midnight's right there. He's gaining and gaining, but not close enough for a move on this occasion, George. But this is shaping up wonderfully for the final stages of this race.
It certainly is a close encounter, and this is exactly what we want to see, certainly in the context of a championship fight. And looking behind as well, Name Changer very much in the frame as well. Shazoo would be delighted. Both their drivers up there contesting for podium respectability here today at France, and certainly with Bellina currently on top spot, you'd have to eye up a potential rivalry between the likes of Midnight and Bellina. Of course, we've seen a great start to this season. It's been absolutely exceptional as they make their way down the long stretch towards turn 1 now. And Bellina still on top. Remember, he will not have DRS, of course, because he has not got anyone to tag it off ahead of him. There's currently a large gap, approximately 11 seconds, separating him from VRT Dan, who's currently in P7. So Midnight will have the upper hand, certainly where it comes to straight line speed and the DRS zones as they head through the next section of the circuit, the next winding sections through 3s, 4, 5, heading around turn 5 now through to turn 6. The Alfa Romeo now bundling its way down towards the Mistral Straight. Every chance here again for Midnight. He could potentially open up the DRS and manufacture a potential maneuver. Will he get it done here heading into the Mistral chicane? He might get a chance on the second half, maybe get it done before as they make their way down now. Has a little look, not this time. He's going to be patient. Midnight potentially could unlock the door heading into the second half of this straight, Andy.
Well, this is something I've seen before. I feel like I'm watching a movie I've seen time and time again here in France. So often the car behind in a battle for the lead just saves that battery, bides his time, waits for those closing laps when the car in front is vulnerable and had been fearing an attack and drained the battery. So it could be a game of tactics. It could be just a waiting game to see if we get that move and when we get that move. It could also be a case where they just keep swapping positions lap after lap. I've seen both of those things play out in a French Grand Prix where there is a number of drivers competing for the victory. Let's see how this one pans out. It is a game of tactics. It's a game of cat and mouse between Midnight, Bellina, and potentially Game Changer and Young Power as well. We've got 4 cars contesting for the victory here. Oh, that's what you love in WOR. Plenty of excitement, close racing, and we don't have any idea who's going to win this race after 11 laps out of the 27. But let's see if Midnight can think about a move on this occasion as they make their way through turns 1 and 2 and down the hill towards the end of that first sector. Will he be close enough? Will he even want to go for it? Will he just bide his time, George? As I keep saying, that happens so often in France.
It certainly does, but just look at them here. They're still very much in close proximity on the same compounded tyre, so it's a case of who's better around this French circuit. And I'd say that's exactly the contest we want. Equal turf, equal ground, and a straight fight, certainly between two of the best in WOR. Of course, leave your comments in the chat, folks. We hope you're all enjoying this, of course, and if you're enjoying yourself, why not leave a like? Why not leave a subscribe as well and come and join the fun here at World Online Racing? It is absolutely brilliant to be here. Myself and Andy very much enjoying certainly the coverage that's being brought here to ourselves, certainly with the racing that we've got on offer as we now witness the Mercedes coming around the next right-hander in turn 11. Look how close they are once again. Yeah. It always seems all the time he gains and gains and gains. Andy, surely a battle in the midst.
Nah, he's waiting. I've seen it before, George. He's waiting and waiting for the right time to pounce. And that could be lap 26. Trust me, I've seen it so many times around here that drivers in that second position, they just wait, save the battery, save the tyres. No point getting in a battle, because if you do, you might take each other off. You might even allow Name Changer and Young Power to get in front. It's something that happens so often around this racetrack because overtaking is so powerful down that straight. You're as well just waiting and waiting and waiting as Midnight gains rapidly down that start-finish straight. It's almost as if to ram the point home about the power of the DRS and the slipstream. And of course, when you add putting that into the top mode in your engine settings, it really does power you alongside and pass down the straight. So let's see if Midnight will go for it this time. He might not even need to use his ERS to pull alongside. That might be the thing that pulls him past here. So here we go, through turn 7 and onto the Mistral Straight once again. It's Bellina holding firm in 8th place on the road at the minute, and he's going to cruise alongside, and it looks like he is on this occasion going to think about the move, and he does. Sweep past before the braking zone. Midnight up into the lead of the race, but that is far from final, because I'm sure Bellina will be coming straight back through in a couple of laps time. It's just a game of cat and mouse, George.
Yeah, and the crucial factor as well, Andy, I had a little sneak peek at Midnight's wheel settings, I have to say that ERS was looking extraordinarily full, and I have to say that just the fact that he was able to maintain the pace without using it too much, just utilising the DRS, is absolutely brilliant. And just remember, of course, you'd imagine that Bellino, and we're going to take an on-board view of him right now, he's used over half of his, so certainly he's still got some in the offing. He had to use a bit in order to stay ahead of Midnight, but remember now, he will crucially have the DRS, so he'll have an opportunity to conserve his as well. So it's now Midnight's turn to start spamming that electronic power as they come down the stretch. So it's certainly going to be a tale of two halves here, a battle for the ages here at the French GP. I got no answer for you. Who's going to win this, Andy?
Well, exactly. Who knows? It's whoever's got the most ERS on the final lap. It's just, I mean, it's typical that we're in France. It's just like the Tour de France. Like, it's always the guy that's chasing, that sits in behind the cyclist in front and then pounces at the end. Let the guy at the front do the work. And it's the exact same scenario here. Let the guy at the front ruin his battery. That's why we've got Bellino with half his battery left and Midnight with a full battery, because he just breezed past when he started using it. And in fact, he didn't even use it, as you said, George. He didn't even need to touch the thing. He just breezed past. It was that easy. So it's all about ERS management in this race. Cat and mouse, making the move at the right time, and that is what it's all about, and that's what makes it so fascinating around the track like this. You know, I complain at the top of the show, and I like to complain. I like a wee moan now and then. Sometimes it's too easy to overtake around certain tracks. That is the kind of bad thing about France, but the good thing is you get this tactical battle, cat and mouse. That's the positives in it. And, you know, we're seeing that here. And you really need a battle between 3 or 4 cars to make France a good race. And that's exactly what we've got. So if you're sitting in front of your TV right now watching this, grab the popcorn, grab a drink, and buckle up and enjoy the ride, because this is going to be fantastic.
Couldn't have said it, or wiser words were never spoken, Andy. Phenomenal stuff indeed. Just look at this. I know we've been talking a bit about Midnight and Bellino, but you're absolutely right. A 4-car tussle here, because don't forget, Name Changer and Young Power are very much in this race, albeit though Young Power with a penalty, which will crucially put a blow upon his prospects in this race, but still he's up there fighting. Not forgetting though, Name Changer, no penalties applied to that man. He can just watch the fight occur right in front of him here. Caden Forbes, we've lost him out of the session, and that is in fact a DNF, so we have lost Caden Forbes. The AlphaTauri are now one-legged with only VRT Dan on their roster list in this race. But on lap 14 of 27, unbelievable scenes here, folks. Still plenty of racing left. But as you can see, we have got a serious fight on board here for this race win. And we certainly don't know where the points are going. But certainly, given the fact that they've each of them, given their all, given their best, we can, well, plentifully enjoy more battling to occur at this French GP circuit. It's absolutely astonishing indeed. Still, we're waiting to see the drivers from P1 to P4. That's the 2 Haas cars are involved in that, in fact, and one of the Mercedes team, crucially as well. So they'll be boxing onto their latter compounds as well. Now, I'd venture a fact that maybe, do you reckon they will take the soft tyres into that second stint, Andy?
Oh, it's really difficult, isn't it? It's difficult for us to call that one. I mean, do you not? Do you go for the mediums earlier to try and... I mean, oh, there they go. We're going to find out right now. Looks like they're going to go for the mediums, for 3 of them anyway. Pat carries on his way, but Cohen, Mitieu and Rudy are all coming in now, and that will be surely a set of the medium compound tyres for those guys. So in they come, and yeah, that will be mediums. Let's see what Pat does. Will he go along and try and eke it out and go into the softs, as you mentioned, Mike, George? So yeah, it's going to be interesting viewing to see what they will do. But these are the guys that are about to take the lead of this race when Pat does make that pit stop. And yeah, it's all finely poised between the front 4. But it looks to me like Midnight is trying to make a break, but it's going to be so tough to do that. The gap at 7 tenths at the minute. That's about to come straight back in to 2 or 3 tenths. And that's the other tactic that you can try, George. You can try, if you really do believe you've got the pace on your rivals, to spam the ERS usage, really go for it, rich engine mix, and try and break that DRS. Because if you can break that DRS, you're free from that battle. You've done it. You've done the hard bit, and then you just drive to the end of the race. Don't need to worry about management of the ERS and the cat and mouse game. So Midnight might have been trying that, but as you can see, it's so difficult to do that. A 7/10 gap reduced right away down those straights, and you're right back in the battle. What I'm interested in, George, and I wonder what you think, if you're Name Changer in Young Power, how do you approach this? Do you go for it to get the track position now? Because the last thing you want is to be the 4th of those cars on the final lap, because you've got no chance of winning.
Well, it sort of makes you wonder, because of course Name Changer, no penalty applied. Of course, it's a different story for Young Power, but looking at this on paper, I mean, if Name Changer is the question, wait until they start battling and maybe pounce when you know, things get unexpected. I mean, obviously, I think that's probably his only opportunity, really, as they wind their way down towards the final corner. But maybe he'll just be patient, wait for an opportune moment for when Bellina will attack Midnight, maybe tuck himself in behind as well, just wait for the opportune moment, open the door, and bang, let fly at the pair of them. That is the big question. Pat's now boxed, so he's gone onto the medium, so no soft supplied for all those drivers that went off the hard tyres. So we're pretty much as we are right now, hards and mediums across the track. So it's pretty much as we are right now. Lap 16 of 27, just over 10 laps remaining. Oh, I can't wait, I gotta say. I'm on the edge of my seat. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal ride.
Yeah, as I said earlier on, it's a slow burner. It's just simmering in the pot, waiting to boil over. Whoa, that was a little slide there as we were on board with Name Changer. But he's going to be there just fine. He'll cling on. But the other problem for Name Changer is we spoke about Name Changer waiting. If he doesn't wait and he tries to pass Bellina now, he runs the risk of battling Bellina and allowing Midnight to open up a 1 second gap. And he doesn't want to do that either. So it's almost like he's stuck in a rock and a hard place. Do you wait for them to battle, hope that they battle and then pounce? Or do you try and take second and run the risk of letting the leader get away? So it's such a difficult balancing act. And we'll see how it goes. We've got a yellow flag out there. Not too sure why. I think maybe Legend's been off the road. He's just lost 3 places there. So I'm guessing that is what it is. But lap 16 out of 27, Midnight has the track position, the upper hand at the minute. But is that where you want to be? It's so hard to judge. Another thing, let's see how these medium runners get on, George. Let's see how they can charge through the field. The likes of Pat, the likes of who else? Rudy and things like that. Let's see how they get on.
Yeah, well, Ash Best currently on those medium tyres, of course. He is yet to really box. He's got to box again anyway, because remember, he boxed very early on in the race, and he's being pressurised by the hard tyres of Dino, who I've got to say has had a cracking drive today. I know we watched him earlier on. He made so many great overtakes as they come now past the paddock once again. DRS open, but you get a feeling that the Williams is close enough to potentially make a move in the offing here, but still, Ash Best enough in the tank to try and thwart a move here from the Williams. But look at his ERS levels. It's nigh empty on that Williams of Dino. He's been literally pushing his car all the way to the maximum limits to crawl his way up through this grid order, but the Williams has been exceptional nonetheless. Ahead of them as well, Ferrari having a cracking day. They've got Venoms and Joey up in the top 6. They've both boxed onto the hard tyres as well. They can go to the end, but that's not the story here, because look at the exit that Dino got heading onto the Mistral Straight. He opens up here upon Ash Best, who might get swallowed up twice here, because in comes the Haas of VRT Pat. 3 wide now, heading into the Mistral chicane. Pat with a double overtake. Majestic. Absolutely phenomenal scenes there. And bullied at the get-go was Dino. In comes the other Haas of Rudy. A Haas double take as they make their way down towards turn 10. Things becoming alive here at Paul Ricard. Down the inside. Still, it's Ash Best holding his own. He is a staunch guardian there, heading around that next right-hander. In comes the Renault of Matteo as well, joining the fray. But the Haas boys, amazing stuff. Both of them moving up into the ascendancy. P7 and 8. Pat and Rudy, what an exceptional drive.
Well, that's what you call licking the stamp and sending it, and it's apt that his name's Pat. Brilliant stuff from Postman Pat as he licks the stamp and moves up into 7th place. Brilliant stuff there, and he's on those medium tyres, and he's got a real chance of a very, very strong result, perhaps even a top 5 finish here if he can get ahead of Jury and Venoms. I don't think he'll be getting along quickly enough to get the top 4, but you know, that was a monumental first stint on those hard tyres. The way he was passing cars in that stint, losing minimum time, and yeah, excellent stuff from Pat. And he's now threatening to pass both Ferraris and come home in a really good 5th place. A contender for driver of the day here, George.
He certainly is. I have to say, an absolutely phenomenal drive, and certainly that'll be my move of the day. Without question. I've got to say, taking on those 2 cars, and that's exactly what I spoke about, Name Changer. But look at this. Look at this from Pat. Once again, this time on the Ferrari. And the Prancing Horse has no answer for this man. The Haas is absolutely flying and makes his way into the chicane. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant there from Pat. He has been absolutely scintillating. He's got on the medium tyres. He's wasting none of it. And now he's in the midst of a jam sandwich. That, of course, the 2 Ferraris. Ahead of him now is the new boy Venoms, who's managed to recover greatly. He's up into P5, but I'm sure he will very shortly be joined by that man VRT Pat. What a phenomenal race this has become.
Postman Pat is sending it everywhere on the racetrack, sending it, licking the stamp. It's brilliant stuff. Up into 6th now, and Venoms is next on his radar, and I don't think it's going to be too difficult the way he's going at the minute on those fresher tyres. He really is having an astonishing race. So Pat, absolutely with a bit between his teeth. Let's see how me, to you and Rudy get on. They won't be too far behind as well on the medium tyres from charging through. So let's see if Pat can get through and maybe even threaten the likes of Young Power, who's got a penalty, of course. So let's see how his pace goes towards the end of the race. So yeah, Pat on the move at the minute, as are the other drivers who've just fitted fresh medium tyres. So they are the guys to watch right now, as the front four are just, well, literally playing snooker with one another, aren't they, out front?
It's a case of, it is like the safety game, isn't it, Andy? Watching it on track right now. None of them want to move just yet. They're going to leave it to the last minute before they make any changes. But look at this. Another opportunity in the offing for Pat. If he gets close enough, Venom's now his next victim as they head down now towards the next chicane. Just look at this straight line speed on there. That's the difference between the two compounds. And there he goes again. P5 for Pat. And I have to say, he must be really cheering himself on now. Now his mission is here to try and get as close as he can to P4. Okay, but I would imagine it's going to be a very staunch effort. 9.2 seconds, the delta gap between the two of them. It's going to be a huge effort, a huge gamble, but of course, he has got the benefit of the mediums. How far can he take them in this French GP? Of course, he can go to the end, but how much can he push on them for?
Yeah, well, 9.2, but he only needs 6.2 to get up into 4th place, of course, with Young Power's penalty. So I don't think it's impossible, but we'll have to wait and see. You're absolutely right, George. It's a matter of how much life he's got in those medium tyres before he reaches a crossover point where the hards might end up being quicker in the closing lap. So that will be the question. But Pat, right now, is really impressing me, passing cars with no problem whatsoever, and he's really got the bit between his teeth and is sensing a potential top 4 here with Young Power's penalty. But, you know, he will have to push, and that might lead to a penalty of his own, as we now watch his teammate really set about the Ferrari of Jury then, as they make their way through turns 1 and 2, through 3 and down the hill towards turn 4. He's looking very, very quick as the Haas man, but he's not close enough this time to make a move. But it's going to be all about that Mistral Straight. I'm sure we'll see moves in a moment then, as both Haas cars set about charging up through the order and finishing this weekend with a very strong result then. So Rudy makes his way through turn 7. The DRS will now open up. He won't even need it. He's already pulling alongside, and Rudy is going to say see you later to Jury as he flies past down the straight. And before they get to the braking zone, the Haas is in front by more than a car length. And there you go, Rudy up into 8th place. The Haasies are flying out there.
Yeah, I got to say, they've been absolutely brilliant. And not forgetting the Ferrari supply engines to Haas as well. So a great blow, of course, dealt by the Haas team. Of course, the American team. And they've got every opportunity to score massive points here today, of course. Currently 22 points in the Constructors. They're going to earn a lot more now very shortly if they can both finish in the top 10. And VRT Pat, of course, leading them round. And, of course, now Venom's got a penalty. So that, once again, protects Pat a little bit more. And I tell you what, he's knocked off a second now off Young Power's Delta. So he's getting really, really close now. Young Power as well, right in the midst here of potentially challenging Name Changer as well. There's literally not a lot separating that bunch either. Just look at that. Young Power very keen to get as close as possible. Once again, the top 4 exchange still kicking off here. And I have to say, with 6 laps remaining, they have not moved a muscle, Andy. They are waiting for the opportune moment. Bellina teeing up a potential last gasp.
Yep, the pot is still boiling. The kettle is also still simmering as well. So let's see how this is going to pan out. We've got 6 laps to go, and it's getting to the stage now for Name Changer and Young Power that they need to start making inroads. Start thinking about pressuring Bellina if they want to try and win this race. They can see the leader just a matter of a few car lengths up the road, but it's not going to be enough because we know how difficult it's going to be to negotiate a way past Bellina, because Bellina has got DRS and, of course, all the slipstream to the car in front. So it's going to be so difficult. You almost feel that Name Changer and Young Power are stuck there unless Bellina tries something on Midnight. And I do not think he's going to be interested on trying anything until the final few laps. George, can you give us a little update on the ERS usage between Midnight and Bellina? Because that would be hugely important to see how it's panning out at the minute. I'm guessing that Bellina will have a lot more than Midnight.
Well, looking at it on paper at the moment, Andy, you're not going to believe this, but Midnight has not used a cent of that ERS. Wow. Bellina's only got half left. So I've got to say, I'm absolutely shocked. I've got to say, I think shock's the word, because Midnight has not had DRS. He has not had DRS at all for a long time now, and still maintains the P1 spot. His pace is extraordinary here at France, and that is why, I suppose, he's our championship leader.
Yeah, it's very impressive. That is incredible, because you know, as was touched on so many times, and we need to stress it again, the powerfulness of the DRS and slipstream around here is so much that you wouldn't expect them to maintain the lead position and have the driver behind with less ERS usage than him. It just shows you that, you know, that 2 and a bit tenths he had in qualifying in his pocket is being laid bare here. He clearly has a pace advantage that's enough to hold on to that lead at the minute over the other drivers. And from this point, I make him favourite just based on that. That's incredible stuff from Midnight. It really is.
Do you think that Bellina's playing the right cards here? Because obviously, if you think about it, it's better that he's not in front. He can get the toe of Midnight, stay within the delta. Then the final lap, whatever ERS you use, it probably doesn't matter, because as long as you use it in the right place, you could potentially still cause an upset, potentially cause a bit of a sensation by overtaking at the last dire moment. Bellina could still very much win this race.
Yeah, he absolutely could, but I just feel like if Midnight's got all that ERS in his pocket, it will be certainly a lot harder than what we've seen in this race. I mean, as we've said again many times, you see a lot of moves done before the braking zone. If Bellina's going to do it, it will be last ditch in the braking zone if Midnight has got all of that ERS available to him. So it's not going to be easy for Bellina. He's going to have his work cut out, but he needs to make sure if and when he gets there that he's got something to attack with, because Midnight, by the looks of it, regardless of what Bellina does, is going to have something to defend with, and that, I'll say again, is so impressive.
Absolutely. I mean, sensational stuff indeed. I mean, even though we still got a 4-car battle, I've got to say Midnight's pace without the usage of ERS is extraordinary. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that before in my life. Certainly not on any tier. Remember, this is the top tier of drivers, folks, and Midnight showing why he is star quality here in the WOR PS4 Tier 1 division. I have to say, certainly, your Friday nights have never been better here, and I have to say, please make sure you leave a subscribe and a like as well, and stay up to date with everything WOR, of course. We're on the climb to 500 subs, and certainly with your support heading into the nigh on triple figures as well for live viewers. But absolutely brilliant stuff indeed for Midnight. He's certainly doing some sensational things right now. Half a second the delta gap, and look at that, Bellina still very much in tow. And I have to say, you can't write off Name Changer either. Only 4.5 tenths of a second the delta gap, with Young Power still slotting in behind. Another second knocked off Young Power's delta by Pat. He is still coming, folks. Not forgetting, only 4 seconds away for potentially taking P4.
Yeah, and Meteor's not hanging around either, is he? He's not far behind Pat too, so Young Power will just need to, you know, he'll need to keep the pace up. But the problem for him is he can't go any quicker because he's got 3 cars directly in front of him. And it looks like Young Power might be a little bit flustered now because he's right on the back of Name Changer and maybe thinking about saying, come on guys, let's pick up the pace a bit here. I need to make a move before Pat reels me in. So he's maybe looking a bit flustered and thinking about a move. He's only 3 tenths now off the back of Name Changer. So we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. But the laps are ticking away. But I don't know if Pat will get there in time. It's going to be so close come the finish.
It certainly will be. And lap 24 of 27, 3 laps left. And so the time goes ticking away, folks. I want to hear your driver of the day, of course. Please hit up the live chat and tell us who you think has been your man of the day. His Name Changer now getting closer here to Bellina. Now this would be an upset. I have to say that Williams has not been this close in the second half of the race. Now this is interesting. Is Name Changer making a move here, Andy?
Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. If he wants to win the race, he needs to make a move. Like, he can sit there waiting all day for Bellina and Midnight to come together, but there comes a point where you just need to say, okay, I'm taking this into my own hands now and go for a move. And that's exactly what Name Changer's going to do. Bellina has to defend the inside. Round the outside goes Name Changer. That would be an incredible move round there. He's always second favourite to get through there. And of course he can't do that. And now Midnight will be rubbing his hands together in glee. He'll be thinking that this is my chance to sprint. Let these two battle and build a second, and it will be in the bag. So Name Changer is the man to blink first. He's the man to go on the offensive. And now Bellina, who you touched on earlier, was struggling on ERS, perhaps struggling in pace, has now got to get defensive when he was looking at potentially going on the attack. But even now, Young Power is thinking about a move on Name Changer. It's all changing. It's all getting exciting. As the laps tick by, Young Power thinks about a move down the inside, but it's no more than a thought. And he'll have to stay in there in 4th place. But the 3 drivers now behind Midnight are getting impatient. They're getting restless. And now, as the laps tick by, they need to think about making a move.
Yeah, well, Name Changer now has shown his hand. He's got no choice. He's got to go because here comes Young Power right on the rear now of the Williams now as they enter very shortly the Mistral Straight. You're quite right. Midnight will shortly be rubbing his hands with glee, knowing now that they're all going off against each other right now. 0.2 of a second. He's crawling down now between Young Power and Name Changer. And just look at it. He's using all his ERS. Is Young Power. He's trying to light things up here in this French GP. Bellina knows it as well. He's right on the rear of Midnight. He knows. I've got to go, he says. I've got to go as they head down now on the second half of the stretch. He's trying to get as close as he can. He's aware of the threat. Name Changer is not out of this race. He's certainly trying to lay down the hammer here at France. A four-way swing here to the end of this Grand Prix.
I tell you what, Bellina will be saying phew in his cockpit. Thank goodness Young Power's doing something about Name Changer and making him think about something else, because that now allows Bellina to focus all his efforts on one man and one man only, and that's the Black Arrow Mercedes of Shizou Midnight in front of him. The championship leader, of course. Midnight, Bellina behind in second in the standings at the minute. If they swap places in the closing minutes of this race, it will change the championship order and put Bellina on top after 3 rounds of racing. Round 5 officially, of course, but we've only had 3 rounds of racing thus far. So let's see how it looks as the 4 of them, all on your screen, come across the line into turns 1 and 2. We're now on the penultimate lap of this race, and we're still no clearer to finding out who's going to be the victor. But there's one thing for sure, the 3 behind are getting all the more desperate, but Midnight is not even missing a beat. He's got this all under control at the minute, but will Bellina come and start thinking about launching attack on this lap, George?
Well, I tell you what, they've been racing here since 1906, but I've got to say, the fun never stops here. I've got to say, at Paul Ricard, as we're now watching these 4 now make their way down to the Mistral Straight, and I have to say, what a thrilling encounter it's been. Midnight has done all he can. Well, all he needs to do really right now, because bear in mind, he still has that trunk load of ERS remaining in the car. Bellina, of course, will surely be trying to look to spy a move, surely eventually, but he's running out of time. We're on lap 26 of 27, folks, the penultimate lap here before we start the final lap of this incredible Grand Prix here in France. It's been absolutely sensational, and the Delta gap now is slowly being drawn out between Bellina and Name Changer. You get to thinking that this will open the door potentially for Young Power to now lay down a hammer and really try and garner himself a potential P3. But just look at this, Bellina and Midnight now. It's a match race towards the end. Keep your eyes peeled. A late move, surely not. Heading into the hairpin bend. It looked awfully close, Andy.
Bide your time, Bellina, bide your time. You're in position, you're where you need to be. I can't believe how close he's managed to get to the back of Midnight. Surely he's drained a lot of his battery to get that close. Will Midnight have enough in his pocket to defend this? The great news for Bellina now is that Name Changer has got his arms full with Young Power, with a chasing me to you and Pat behind that. Young Power needs to go about making a move. So now Bellina can focus all of his efforts on Midnight. Midnight looking in his mirrors, and he can just see a flash of red and white of the Alfa Romeo hunting him down, searching to try and steal the victory away on the final lap. Not only would he steal the victory, he'd steal the championship lead. So here we go, through turn 7, Midnight in the lead. He'll now be deploying that battery. Has Bellina got enough to pull alongside? It doesn't look like it. Midnight, by the looks of it, has pulled off a blinder with the ERS, but he's still got one more straight to defend, George.
Yeah, I've got to say, these guys are making history, certainly here at WOR on the PS4. It's got to be race of the season so far on this tier, on this platform. It's been sensational. Grandstand finish here at the Paul Ricard. They come now through Sector 3, still on top. Shizou Midnight owning his spot right now. Still P1 in the championship. The Mercedes doing all it can to hold off the relentless force here of the Alfa Romeo. Coming around the next left now, through the next right, through this winding section of the circuit now. Turn 14 beckons as they come round it now. Surely there's only one man that's going to sing today, but surely a puncture, a puncture for Midnight, a puncture for Midnight, and it's open the door for Bellina. Young Power goes through, Name Changer will go through, he's out of it, surely he's out of the winning positions. Bellina is your winner here at the Paul Ricard. Sensational scenes here in the final lap. Name Changer into P2, Midnight on P3, a sensation round the final corner, a blowout on the Mercedes, tips the race in Bellina's favour. Absolute scenes, Andy.
Oh, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. What a shocker for Midnight. That is so unfortunate. He'd driven a sensational race. I was just rethinking my driver of the day call. I was going to give it to him, and I'm still going to give it to him. I cannot believe it. That is heartbreak for the Mercedes driver. He played an absolute blinder on the ERS management. He kept his cool, drove a brilliant race, and it's been undone by a Mercedes blowout. I'm getting flashbacks to Lewis Hamilton's puncture at Silverstone last year, and that is a real bitter blow for Shazoo Midnight. I do not believe it. He'll be gutted, and I really feel for him. He's my driver of the day. He really is, and I feel for him. I'm gutted for the guy, but well done, Bellina. You just never give up in this sport, George, and he's the winner.
Andy, he did everything right. I got to say, it was a contrasting performance. It's a contrasting strategy. If you think about it on paper, Midnight strategy: save the ERS, leave a little bit in the tank. At least he knows that he can defend against the force of Bellina into the final lap. Bellina knew that he had to do exactly the same thing. He needed to stay behind the Mercedes, and it paid off. One mistake, and it wasn't necessarily Midnight's mistake, but it was a mistake nonetheless that enabled him to take victory. And there it is, P1 for VRT Bellina. And he will take the lead in the championship. Unbelievable, folks. Name changer into P2 for Williams. Midnight in P3 after that sensational blowout at the end. Young Power remains in P4. Matthew scraped into P5 ahead of Pat in the Haas. And his teammate Rudy there in behind as well in P7. Jory in P8 for Ferrari. Dino there in P9. A great drive from him as well to move up none other than 3 places. And a great drive indeed. Venom, not a great day. P10 after starting second on the grid. Simon in P11, Dan in P12, Borrell in P13, Ace in P14, Luke in P15, Cone P16, or DNF, Luke, Cone, Legend, Ash Best, Caden Forbes, all DNFing from this race. My word! Amazing scenes, Andy.
I can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe what I've just seen. The final corner, and Midnight gets a puncture. It is unbelievable. You just do not script this stuff. That is what can happen in league racing, and that is what happens when it's so close. The drivers are pushing their cars to the limit. They're pushing the limit of the tyre to the absolute limit, and it just runs out of life in the final corner for Shazoo Midnight. And I just cannot describe how I feel for the guy. It is an absolute gutter. As we said, George, he did absolutely every single thing right in his race there. You know, got into the lead, held on to it, lost it in the pit stops, got back to it, and he just managed it brilliantly. He showed great pace, great management, waited. The attack came. It came from Bellina, but he had what he needed in his pocket to hold on. We thought it was done. We thought it was a masterclass. And then in the last corner, he's undone by that. That is absolutely devastating for him. I feel so bad for the guy. I don't know what to say. It's unbelievable, but you know what entertainment it is for everyone watching. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, because that's what World Online Racing is all about. It's never over till it's over. And, you know, well done to Bellina. He takes the championship lead. Commiserations to Shazoo Midnight. I can't believe it.
I'm lost for words, Andy, like you are. I have to say, I don't think we've ever quite seen anything like that before. Like, the puncture happened before the final corner. Absolutely sensational. It was enough time, a perfect amount of time for Bellina, who just stayed in behind. And I must say, the strategy looked absolutely perfect for Midnight. He articulated it right down to the very minor detail. It worked perfectly. He had all his ERS, plenty left for a full-blown assault at the end, certainly to maintain that P1 spot. He didn't even need to graze it. Did not need to graze it, but he went through the final sector. All of a sudden, comes to the final corner. The blowout happens. Bellina snatches it right at the very end. I got to say, I'm lost for words. But on the one level, you can't take anything away from Bellina. He did everything that he set out to do. He stayed in behind. All it took was one mistake, and it opened the door. Technically, I suppose if you look at it on paper, it was a perfect race from both drivers.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that. It was a perfect race from both drivers. I would say that Midnight just had that little bit more pace in his pocket. We've seen that in qualifying. He was 2 or 3 tenths quicker in qualifying. We then saw in the first part of the second after the first pit stop that, you know, Bellina was the quicker car. He was leading, but he was draining the battery. Then it swapped round, and then we saw that Midnight was leading, and he wasn't draining the battery. So you could see there was that pace advantage for Midnight. But from what they had in terms of pace each as drivers, they did deliver the perfect race. They both did. But it's just that little bit of misfortune at the end there for Midnight. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I've seen a lot of things in my time commentating on league races. I've seen last lap punctures when drivers have been looking at winning a championship on the final lap, but I've never seen it on the final corner of the final lap of a race. That is just astonishing stuff. It's incredible. I mean, hats off as well to the likes of Pat, and especially me to you, who actually got ahead of Pat before the end of the race. That was a great performance from him. The game gave him driver of the day. He was another big shout for driver of the day as well. But I'm going to give it to Midnight, and that's not just a sympathy vote. I honestly thought he did an incredible job. George, I'm interested to hear what you think. Who was your driver of the day?
Well, I got to say, I was torn between two. I mean, I thought Pat's drive was absolutely sensational. I've got to say, just for that sheer move, I think he pulled off move of the race. I think, without a shadow of a doubt. I think if I was to give move to the race to anybody, I give it to Pat. But I think I've got to agree with you, Andy. I mean, just the sheer pace of Midnight heading down the stretch. I mean, holding all his ERS. I mean, you've really got to get the most out of the car in order to do that. To not to use the extra power that you've got underneath the hood of that Mercedes. I mean, incredible. I have to say. I could not believe what we witnessed. It's a real huge blow to Midnight, of course, because in the championship it has massive effects. 10 points is the difference between scoring a P3 and a P1. So that 10 points is going to be certainly serving Bellina better in the championship. And bear in mind, before we came into the race, there was only 3 points difference. So now, 7 points the delta difference. Unbelievable. Yeah. And now that means that Bellina is going to have that advantage as we head into Silverstone. Of course, that's going to come up in the following week.
Yeah, I mean, and what a race to bounce off of to go into Silverstone. I mean, we spoke at the top of the show, didn't we, about are we going to start seeing a pattern for the championship? And I think we are now. I think we're seeing Midnight and Bellina. They look like two that's going to be very strong. We've seen Midnight win in the opening race and then probably should have won again tonight. We've seen Bellina now show in 2 races that he's strong, back last time out in his home race in the Netherlands and now here. So they look like certainly 2 strong contenders for this championship. I mean, I think we're still waiting to see who else is going to come to the fore and challenge as well. But those 2 at the minute, they look locked in as real contenders for the championship. And from what we've seen tonight, George, I mean, we are in for quite a season and, quite a run to the end of the year. I'm really enjoying it. And what a race and what a finale. I'm just gutted for Midnight. I can't stop saying it. It's incredible.
I know. I'm with you 100%. I mean, it's very rare you see anything like that happen during a race. But can you imagine these 2 bursting their way through Maggots and Beckett's heading down towards Stowe after the Chapel Curve? It's going to be absolutely relentless. I really hope we get to see more of it, I have to say, because we look at Formula One, you look at the iconic battles that you've seen over the years. Of course, you think back Hacken and Schumacher. You've got the likes of Hamilton, Rosberg, all of them. I mean, Mansell as well. You think of the likes of Senna and Prost. I mean, you potentially got a tee up in the offing, certainly for esports. I know we're talking different kettle of fish here, but Midnight and Bellina, we could be seeing many a tussle between these 2 this season. And I've got to say, I think now that we've got some of these iconic circuits, just look at this calendar. We've got Silverstone coming up next week. Follow that up with a trip to Spa, Francorchamps, then heading over to Monza, Japan, Austria, Abu Dhabi, capping it off with a grand finale at Brazil. Folks, you do not want to miss a single race of this season at WOR on the PS4. And not forgetting as well, the same can be said for Xbox on Monday nights. We are hoping that eventually we will get a chance to interview some drivers. We tend to like to do that here at WOR, but I got a feeling that we might be without them at this moment in time. We will, of course, keep you up to date as things go. But it looks like we're not going to be having any today, folks. But I have to say, it's been a phenomenal, certainly a phenomenal race, Andy. What are your thoughts heading into the last stage of the season? Is it a case that it's going to be between Midnight and Bellina? Because we got a few tasty names there. I don't think we saw the best of Luke today.
No, we definitely didn't. We didn't see the best from him at all. He didn't even feature really at the front of the field. So, yeah, I think it's certainly Midnight and Bellina are locked in as contenders. We'll have to wait and see who else can. I mean, Eltink was really quick last time out as well, so we'll see if he returns. I don't know if he's returning or he's finished with the league or what. I don't know, but if he does return, he had good pace too. So, yeah, at the minute, Midnight versus Bellina, I would say yes, George, but again, it's too early to lock anyone else in or lock anyone else out, but those 2 certainly look like strong contenders. And, as you say, what a calendar we've got lined up. Some classic tracks, ones that I would consider as legendary circuits: Silverstone, Spa, Monza, Suzuka. They are, real circuits to separate the men from the boys. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure it's going to be great excitement every Friday night, 8 p.m. here in the PS4 side at the top tier of the WOR. It's going to be great.
Well, we've certainly commentated some truly phenomenal performances at Silverstone Spa and, of course, Interlagos as well, if you quite remember. Andy, of course, going back to our time at Squad Sprint, of course, and we witnessed plenty of great races there too, so make sure you don't miss anything on this calendar, folks. It's going to be sensational. I have to say, folks, it's been a pleasure broadcasting to you. Obviously, myself and Andy very much enjoy bringing you the action every Friday, of course, from WOR on the PlayStation 4. Be sure to leave a like and a subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel, and of course, you can check me and Andy out on Twitter, also the WOR League. Make sure you go at WOR League on Twitter, and be sure to post your comments and respond to their promos as well. There's plenty going on their channel. Of course, you can come and see me as well, or tweet me. I'm at George Morgan TV. Or you can also, Andy, tell them what your Twitter handle is.
It's at GingerAndyF1, so be sure to say hello, and yeah, I'll maybe drop you a follow.
There you go. There you go. So I got to say, folks, it's been a pleasure. It looked like it was Midnight's chance on the day, but a tyre blowout gave it to Bellina here at France at the Paul Ricard circuit. We'll see you next time. It's been a pleasure. Goodbye.